Some scientists actually say that we are hardwired to prefer foods or to crave foods that help us survive. Is there, in terms of food choices, an innate wisdom of the human body?
Yes, there is something in the limbic system. There's something in us. The instinct is there, fear is there, certain survival concepts are locked up there in the system, hardwired into the system, that tell us, run away when you see danger, or start salivating when something palatable comes around. So we are directed since time immemorial, since for 1,000,000 years and more, to go for something that is nourishing, that is pleasant, that will survive, that allows you to survive, and that tells us to stay away from something that may be adverse to your health.
If that's the case, though, why, when people talk about their food cravings, do they never say, I'm craving raw carrots? Most people say, I'm craving potato chips or ice cream or chocolate.
Yes, the cravings come in as we have evolved into the modern homo novus that we are now, that we have perverted this original defense mechanism and this original satisfying mechanism by other factors, by marketing, for example, by the influence of our families, who also have been influenced by others who are living in a rather scientific or modern culture where we are no longer endangered by survival mechanisms.
Are you saying that if we were still foragers, we'd be making better food choices than the fact that now we can walk into any store and get any food at any time? The convenience of and availability of food has made us less geared to choosing things that aid in our health? We
would be making wise choices as they had been made for tens of thousands of years. The choices we make now are influenced by marketing, by what we see, by the role models we have, and they're not often good role models, and by the modern way of life to imitate what is desirable. Why do people want to be slender? Why do people want to do certain things? And that's why we make choices nowadays, because somebody tells you, this tastes good, try it. And then you try it, and of course, the food industry has put just the right flavor into it that is appealing to you, and then they've got you hooked. Every restaurateur knows that. The guest must leave with a good taste of the coffee in the mouth, and never save on flavor. You want to remember the place by the coffee flavor. And every grandmother knows that. Dennis the Menace cartoons say that. Mrs. Wilson makes the best cookies. And you can lure children into your house, Hansel and Gretel. You lure people by food flavors.
You can also lure children to choose more healthful foods by exposure and association. Tell us how and why exposure and association play a big role in what we choose.
The role is a key word. Being the role model, being a good role model, you can educate your kids and set them onto a way of healthful, scientific, nutritional living. But they will soon drift away from you as they pass through junior high school, because the kids are yanked away from you and they acquire tastes and flavors that in your eyes are perverted. But for them, it's just experimenting with what is out there. And a very modern, well-educated household would steer a child into those virtues of good nutrition, just as you would steer a child into an ethical life, into a good citizen, making a good citizen out of the person.
But if your child spits out that spoonful of peas, the trick is give them a spoonful of peas again and again and again. Isn't that also part of it?
That is one of the secrets I haven't fathomed. Why do some kids don't like broccoli? Maybe the bitterness in it appalls them, or spinach, or certain people don't eat carrots. That I really don't know, and it's quite possibly explained by the physiology of our taste organs, of our sensory mechanism apparatus, that some people discriminate against certain foods because there is an objectionable astringency that only you have, and that's why you are the only one in the family who will despise a broccoli.
Well, speaking of sensory apparatus, the tongue can distinguish between sweet, bitter, salty, and sour, and there's actually a fifth element there, and that's umami, a Japanese term for savory. Tell us a little bit about how all of those things play in helping us to distinguish between thousands of different tastes.
The four basic ones are traditional and have been taught and studied for 100 years at least. The Japanese brought umami into the picture because they eat a lot of seafood, they eat a lot of brothy material, that they said there must be a fifth one. We still don't quite see it or recognize it, but food companies now have flavor specialists who put it as a fifth element into it. So if somebody at Heinz creates another type of ketchup, they're looking for the umami aspect also. It's still a mysterious concept to me. But we are directed by those four basic tastes. The others come into play also: hot and warm, pepperminty, fruity. There are hundreds of other ones. I used to be a cheese expert when I worked on my master thesis. What exactly is it when you eat some cheese? You're eating hundreds of different chemicals. Each one plays a note on your tongue, and altogether they play a symphony. And if the cheese is good, the symphony is very, very audible and very clear, and you want more of it. If it's cacophonic, the cheese is spoiled, you don't want anything. But it's a combination of many of the pleasant sensations that you put into your memory and that you expect again and again, where education has told you that this is something good. The basic tastes are studied, for example, in Philadelphia at the Monell Institute. Penn has
where they study smell as well.
Oh yes,
because of course
yes,
taste and
yes,
smell work
yes,
in tandem.
They all work in tandem, all four really. Picture yourself going to a smorgasbord, to a buffet. First you see the food, very colorful. So you're starting to sell the food already by color. Then you get closer to it, then you smell it with your nose, and then you get closer and you may even touch it. So by the tactile sense, is it a hard bun, is it a soft bun? Is the pudding jello or wobbly, or is it a hard type of a bread pudding? And then you finally taste it. And even the crunchiness, the feeling comes into it, snap, crackle, and pop, the crunchiness. So all five senses play an important role, whether you are attracted and like the food and will go back to it.
I think it's safe to say then that how we make food choices is a fairly complex issue here.
It is utterly complex. It's more complex than playing good music or being a conductor, because you are subject to the basic instincts, this limbic system inside that tells you this may be good, this may be bad, this is pleasant, or this is what I want to go back to. Marcel Proust, in his Remembrance of Things Past, devotes 2 pages in Swann's memory passages, Swan story, how he, as an older man, he remembers a cup of tea that his mother served him, and then he goes through the entire spiel of remembering the flavors. And that is exactly what you also go through when you eat a cookie and you remember, this is what my mother or my grandmother used to make. And it produces visions of the hearth, of the oven gases, the whole 40-year-old, 50-year-old environment.
So what we're talking about here really is a comfort food. I want to end with some simple ways that we can cope with food cravings. Good heavens,
that is about as difficult as telling a drug addict, you know, you can't do this anymore because it's harmful to you. And food cravings, we actually exploit them. We have St. Valentine's Day where we exploit chocolate cravings. Every mother, grandmother knows the food preferences of family members and will do a lot of persuasion by this means. And to overcome food cravings, I would say give in to them and enjoy it.
Right.
Just as we enjoy the cravings of sight, of hearing, of music. Go for it.
Give in to them in moderation. Thanks so much for talking with us.
You're welcome.